Alright, so in this video I'm going to share with you a secret that no one has ever talked about on YouTube. And I'm also going to tell you how you can make money with that secret. A few years ago I stumbled over this concept called YouTube automation.
YouTube automation is blowing up.
Today we will be talking about what is YouTube automation,
hence the name YouTube automation.
This type of channel has also been referred to as a YouTube automation channel.
But at the time I thought, videos take a lot of time to create, and outsourcing video is also pretty expensive. What if I just skip the video part of that and start an automated podcast instead? And that's what I did. Fast forward a little bit, that particular podcast now has over 5 million total downloads, over like 60,000 followers across multiple platforms, and it has also generated around $28,000 in advertisements and sponsorships. So I at least think that this concept is definitely a win. Still, I have never heard anyone on YouTube talk about this. I think that's pretty weird, considering how popular YouTube automation has become in the last few years. But believe me when I tell you, creating anything that's automated rarely actually becomes automated for a very long time, and it requires a lot of hard work. Before I tell you how you can get started with this yourself, I'm going to break down the key differences between podcast automation and YouTube automation. There's one big difference that I personally think makes podcasting the much better option, but I will let you decide for yourself. So let's start off with the pros of YouTube automation. So the first thing that comes to mind with YouTube is of course its algorithm, because YouTube has a very robust algorithm for growing new channels, and the algorithm is also being studied by so many people, so there's so much information out there on how to actually grow a channel. Another great thing about YouTube is of course its monetization program. YouTube has probably by far the easiest monetization by any social media platform. It's very straightforward, anyone can get started. You just need 4,000 total hours and 1,000 subscribers and you can start monetizing. However, you who is watching this video right now probably already knows about YouTube automation. And you're certainly not the only one. Currently, there are thousands of people who are doing YouTube automation, making it pretty saturated and competitive. But if you can stand out from the rest, then YouTube automation is certainly a very good option for you. But with sticking out from the rest often comes a higher production value. And with a higher production value usually comes more time that needs to be invested, or more money that needs to be invested in the business. And that's where podcast automation shines. Because as for podcast automation, everything I just said about YouTube is pretty much the opposite for podcasts. There is not much information out there on how to grow a podcast. And for example, the Spotify algorithm is not being studied as much as, for example, the YouTube algorithm. So it can be a bit tricky to get started. Also, while podcast and podcast platforms have very good monetization capabilities, it's nowhere near as polished as YouTube's monetization. But the best thing about a podcast is that it's of course audio only, or it doesn't have to be, but it can be audio only. And that removes a huge part of the time, money and effort spent on creating the episodes. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that a podcast should be like at least an hour long. But for my podcast, we upload episodes from like 15 to 25 minutes. And as I stated before, I have never heard anyone talk about this before, which means that it's not as competitive as YouTube. Now you're probably thinking that I'm going to pitch you some BS course on how you can do this and earn 1,000 per day, but I'm here to inform that that is sadly not the case today. I'm just doing this because I've never heard anyone talk about it and I'm sharing a cool story and hopefully I can grow my YouTube channel from this. But I will share my own podcast with you in the end of this video, so make sure you stick around to that. But before that, if this is something that you would like to try out yourself, I have put together some notes on how I would do it if I would start again. Alright, so first you need a niche. And to get started, I'd say that you should go onto YouTube and see what topics and niches are trending at the moment and create audio only episodes from that. So for example, one niche that is very popular at the moment is the space niche. There are channels like Riddle and Voyager, which are clearly automated YouTube cash cow channels. So this is the method that I used for finding the niche for my own show. So the next step is to write a script. So you could download videos from YouTube, transcribe them, and have AI rewrite a script for you from that video. Although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because there's one big problem with it. Because if you're going into the space niche, for example, you need to have correct information. And by doing it this way, you won't have any sources, and there's a chance that you will get into some trouble later down the road. Also, the YouTubers that you copy could have copied it from someone else, and they might even have copied it from someone else, and the game of broken telephone or Chinese whispers has begun. But hey, this method is very efficient, so just talk to your moral compass about it and decide for yourself. Another way is to write a script from a news article. These sites often have to have sources, so at least they are a little bit more trustworthy than a clickbaity YouTube video, but still make sure to fact check everything. You could also outsource it to a script writer on Upwork or Fiverr. Just keep in mind that they can use the methods that I previously talked about. So make sure to talk to them beforehand and ask them about their writing process. Also, just a side note, if you want to be politically correct about everything, you probably shouldn't go into a science niche like space that needs to have every fact correct. There are much easier niches to go into, like food, travel, or sports, for example. Now it's time to produce the episode.
You can do this with AI if you want.
But I'd still say that the better option is to go on Fiverr or Upwork and find a voiceover artist. And just make sure that the voice matches your niche. So you don't hire the anime voice actor to your military niched podcast. Ideally, you would also find someone who can add music and sound design to the episode, but if not, you can just hire someone else to do it. Now you have your episode and you just need to publish it. So in podcasting, you actually don't upload the episode to all platforms individually. You would upload it to a podcasting host, which then distributes the episode onto all platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There are many different podcast hosting platforms, and that's a jungle in of itself. I personally got started with a site called Buzzsprout. I really like them, it was easy to set up. If you want to support me and this channel, I put a link to Buzzsprout in the description, which also includes $20 worth of credits towards a paid plan. When you have chosen your podcast platform, you just need to add your cover art, write a show description, and then upload your episode. The hosting platform will take care of all the distribution for you. After that, it's just a case of uploading content regularly and just keep on growing the show. When I got started, I actually didn't do any marketing, I just uploaded episodes and they got picked up by the algorithm. Although that worked for me, that's probably not the smartest way to do it. I would at least set up some clips accounts on Instagram, TikTok and YouTube Shorts and upload clips from the podcast to those accounts. If you want a more specific tutorial on how to set up a successful podcast automation business, then just let me know in the comments and I will go over that in a future video. Now, before I reveal my show to you, I just need to make a huge shout out to Andy. Andy is the host of my podcast, and initially I hired him from Upwork, but after seeing his passion for the project and just creating such amazing episodes, We decided to team up and run the show together. So instead of me paying him per episode, we actually just split the revenue that the show generates. For me and for the show, I think this was the best decision that I have done, because this keeps him always wanting to improve the show and putting his all into it. And so yeah, massive shout out to Andy. The show wouldn't be where it is without him. Okay, the niche is Reddit stories. So this is a niche that you can't have missed. It started off on YouTube with the text-to-speech Reddit stories, and it has also moved over to TikTok. There's a huge niche on TikTok. I initially found the niche because my girlfriend used to listen to all the Reddit YouTube videos, but never actually watch the videos, just listen to it as a podcast. And I noticed that there was a huge hole in the market, because at the time there wasn't any other podcasts doing it. There were just YouTube channels. So that's when I decided to fill the gap in the market. At first I also did the text-to-speech voice episodes, but I quickly got tired of it myself, and that's when I hired Andy to record the episodes for me. So my show is called The RR Show, formerly Reddit Readings. But yeah, as proof, here is the Spotify stats, and here is the Apple Podcast stats for the show. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.